Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back once again. We are here with the Revo Endurance Championship. Today we've got Poker 72 on the mic as well.
Hello.
So happy to be having you today. Pokers has been behind the scenes a lot, helping with stuff like picture in picture, but I'm out of town once again today. So we figured out a situation where we can commentate the game still. Poker's going to be hopping in for some co-commentary.
Just a try,
And
huh?
yeah, we'll see. We'll
We'll
see. No,
see.
I'm sure you're gonna kill it. It's gonna
Yeah.
be great. So if you're wondering why the front end is different of the RVGL today, that is because we are watching from Poker's perspective. So he is going to be doing the observing today as well. So super excited to be hopping in. I think we need to hop in now, actually, if you don't mind. I
Yeah.
sent you the IP. Um, we are going to be headed pretty much straight into the qualifier here. Um, so we can, if we don't have time right now, we can show you guys the standings and the driver of the day after this qualifier because we did get a little bit of a late start. So let's see if everybody's ready to start this qualifier already or what the situation is. Okay, so we've got Frostbitten explaining the rules right now. We might have some newcomers here to one of the last sessions of the RVEC. Never too late to start, I suppose. But we've got 64 laps of Helios. We're going to start it out with the qualifier. And basically, you've got 5 minutes to do your best lap. Whoever gets the best lap in the session will be starting the official race. And whoever gets the worst best lap will be at the back will be in last place to start the official race. Um, so here with Helios now, Pokers. I know you had some good things to say about Helios, right?
Yeah, very good track. The one of the first track I've ever played when I discovered the entire IO custom track scenes.
Yes, yes,
60 laps straightforward, and
yeah, yeah.
so I know a bit of the track. I know the Stairway of Hell thing,
That's right. That's right.
the ramp versus the stairs, and you have a precision thing in the middle
Yep,
of the
yep.
track.
Exactly, exactly. So I would say for me on Helios, the main two things to watch out for is the decision between the stairway to hell, like you mentioned. And so you either take the stairwell on the inside or the ramp on the outside. And the ramp is a lot safer. But if you go in a straight diagonal line on that ramp, you can usually be pretty good. Now, we did have this exact track last year at the RVEC Season 3. And this track was absolute mahim. For anyone who remembers, this track was ridiculous. And the stairway versus ramp was a huge part of it. But another part that might come into play is the triple wall ride. And this is a very important part of the track, especially when you've got people stacked up on top of each other. You know the exact line that everybody's going to be taking, and so you can take advantage of it. We'll probably see people cutting each other off, doing some very risky driving, some very aggressive driving, and finding some overtakes, specifically at those wall rides. So that will be definitely cool to see. It looks like we are waiting for Sting to join in. Um, Now, while we have a second here, I suppose we could show standings. We can go ahead and show standings if we got a second.
Yeah, they are.
Okay. So the updated standings here. If you're curious what the red is, it's basically their excluded track. So at the end of these 10 weeks, we're going to be taking away the drivers' three worst performances and just leaving their seven best. And so, as it stands right now, some people who have made it to every single session so far already are going to be, they already know one of the weeks that they're going to be dropping off. As for the others, some people haven't made it to some of the sessions. For example, Famous not making it to Urban Sprint 1, etc., etc. And so those are just going to be blanks, but not a big deal. The main focus is, of course, Famous versus Stingox. You can see the story laid out very clearly for you by the standings alone. Famous tearing up track after track in the first half of this season 4, but he started to show a few signs of weakness. Now, he wasn't here for Urban Sprint, like we mentioned, but White Rose Chapel and Spa Vault 2 both stolen away from him by Stingox, and Stingox also managed to win Urban Sprint 1, and they've both been racking up a good deal of best lap points as well. So Stingox is still in the running here to be able to challenge Famous, especially if he could get a win here. I think we had a great chart that's available
from Frost. Yes.
Yes. I don't know if you have that prepared, Pokers. All good if not.
I have it.
Oh, you have it. Okay, so we can look at that. Now it kind of went over my head a little bit, but I think for the competitive drivers in the chat, you all should be able to make sense of it. Pokers, if you want to try to make sense of it, you can too. Oh, we got to get that starting soon off the screen too. I'm just looking at the stream now. Oh, and I like that logo too, the RVEC Season 4, very cool.
So,
what's going on? Chat, by the way, take it away, Pokers.
His fam is first. It doesn't matter if of the placement of Stingox. So, fam must be second or lower to Stingox have a chance.
Okay.
And depends on Stingox, so must be third or higher in Helios to compete to be the champion.
Gotcha. Okay, let's go ahead and take that chart away because we are here in the qualifier now. Now, it's not anything too intense. You might be wondering, if you're a new viewer, you might be wondering why we're not really covering the start of a race, because usually that's very important. G-Force getting tossed around right away. And it's simply because they've got a full 5 minutes here to find their best lap. Some people not even going to be starting the race at the beginning because they want to get enough space where if someone else wrecks, like G-Force there, they're not going to be involved in that wreck. And so we see some different strategies coming out. Maybe people have tested exactly how long a lap takes, and so they've mathed out exactly how much free time they have. And if you don't have much free time, you might just start right away. And so we did see like 4 or 5 people start right away, and those people are already beginning their second lap. As for best lap times, what's a good best lap, what's a bad best lap, I'm not really sure. Chat might be able to weigh in on that. Kind of what we might be expecting to see, what we might be excited to see. It's hard to know, but we do have some people who are consistently very strong at best laps. Amma stands out. Kiki, Nick, which I think Nick is on vacation still. He might not be here today. And Frost and Famous, of course. Now, I do see we have Boban, who is a new racer. I mean, a newcomer to the RVEC, at least I think. But we'll see how he's able to perform. It looks like he's got a custom skin, so I don't know if that's from the personal pack or not. He does.
I don't upgrade it, so it might be a normal skin.
Okay. And good enough. We do see Kiki here. We see Laggy Rock as well. I kind of neglected to say who all is in this lobby so far, so there might be some question marks for y'all. Yeah, let's go ahead and flip through. We got Stingox, Powerade making it in as well. We got Airtsu. We got Amma, of course. And Shigeki X joining us as well. And in the caboose, I think, no, we actually have 15 racers today, maybe all 16. Is there one after Makakowski? You see Famous? We definitely also have Makakowski here. Okay, so we do have 15 drivers here today, which is a lot more than we've had in previous weeks. They reached a point where there were maybe like 8 to 10 racers sometimes, but everybody's showing up here on Helios, and we can see Famous jetting it down that stairway to hell, taking a very aggressive angling, and it didn't ultimately pay out for him. We're not necessarily going to see him take that route in the endurance race itself, because endurance is all about consistency. But here at the best lap, they're just going to take as much risk as they can. I would be surprised to see someone take the ramp versus the stairwell. I'd be surprised to see someone choose the ramp unless they were pretty much out of time, had one, maybe 2 laps left, and they just needed to get a good time locked down. So we do see that kind of halfway choice. It's not a strict this or that. You can kind of double dip in it as well, where you take the first stair or two and then went on that ramp. So a lot of small decisions being made, and time is quickly running out. Now, if they start a lap before 5 minutes, they're allowed to finish. So something to keep in mind as these racers finish up what is going to be one of their last laps.
What about the best lap so far? We have Frost, famous at 42.4.
That's right. That's right.
2.0
Yeah.
for Frost. Most of them is 42.0. Lagirak is 42.2. Deacon as well. Kiki 42.1. 41.9 for Sting.
Okay, yeah, good call. So we got one sub 42. We've got a lot that are super close to sub 42, but not quite cutting it. We got about 3 of those. The others are all kind of wavering around that 42.2 and so on. Time is running out here. We're here at 4 minutes and 50 seconds right now. So it looks like Powerade's going to be able to start a lap. Oh, that's right. No, they start the lap on the other side here. So Airchu's going to be finishing it. He's got about a little over half a lap left, I guess. And his best lap is 42.364. So he's definitely going to be praying that this lap turns out well for him. Powerade is finishing up his lap. Is not going to be beating his nice best lap of 42.009. I think we also saw G-Force with a sub 42 just for a second there. Airchu is going to be finishing up his lap, and I think he's the end of it. Okay.
We got everyone now. I think. But not Fame.
Oh. He must have just been able to start. Oh no, he's just having some fun. Wow. So Stingox not only is one of our only sub 42s, but he managed to beat his previous sub 42 by over 100 milliseconds there, moving into 41.809 by the end of it. That's super impressive by Sting. I also want to see G-Force, if you don't mind. I think he might have gotten a sub 42 as well. A lot of days here.
Did.
So, not quite able to beat Stingox, but he's going to be in a respectable second place.
Why is Frost from Fame?
So, Frost might have gone to Spectator, but honestly, what do you think about this one, Pokers? It's not that crazy, right?
Yeah, maybe Stingox has a chance, considering the starting grid.
Yeah, I mean, 42.063, sure, it's close to
the mid-pack, I think.
Right, he's got a lot of... So, for example, Amma right here, by about 30 milliseconds, he's beating Famous. So it could really go one way or another just based on a couple of milliseconds here, because there's so many people with a 42.0xx.
Powerade,
So,
Lampert, Killer. Yeah, maybe a mid-pack here for Famous, and Stingox is in the lead, so...
Okay, and we got to be careful about coming to too many conclusions about that.
Yeah.
For the simple reason that whenever we watch there's so many times that I watch Famous in endurance champion, like in an endurance environment, and he on lap 1 or 2 gets knocked way back. He gets knocked down to 10th, 12th. He's starting the race at 12th place, and he just without fail, is always able to just move up the ranks, and find a competitive position, not just for podium, but for first place. So Sting, he's got to be feeling good that he's got the best time in the lobby, but he's certainly not like, oh, this race is over, because
Yeah, no.
Famous can make magic happen.
Only considering the starting grid because endurance is no endurance.
Right, right. And on some tracks, I would say it's pretty easy to, not necessarily, it's easy for these people to nail down the consistency. Um, but a track like Helios, I don't know. We might find some bumps and bruises on everybody, even the most consistent of drivers. So now, hopefully, you can do this on the fly. No worries if not. But we got a nice little graphic from Kiki for the qualifiers that I just sent you, and we've also got the driver of the day. So
Yeah,
we want to cover both of those while we've got a second here. Um, Now, I think the official race starts at 19:30. So we might start a little earlier than that, but yeah, we got Laggy Rock asking when start. Anyways, okay. So did we manage to get that qualifier up?
soon.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. In the meantime, we've got chat popping off as always. Welcome in Chuva4, cheering for G-Force. Always good to see some G-Force fans in the house.
We got it.
We've got okay, okay, cool. There it is. So we've got Stingox winning. Frostbitten actually beat out G-Force. We thought G-Force was second place. Frostbitten is second place. G-Force is about 4 milliseconds behind him in third. And then we've got Power, Nick, Keela, Ama, and there's Famous all the way down in eighth. Pretty interesting stuff for sure. But also, I mean, yeah, we've got Lampert, Makakowski, Kiki, unfortunately, out there in 11th. He's been a huge competitor earlier on in the RVC. He had some moments where it looked like we were going to have another first place finisher on our hands. Keep in mind, Famous, Frost, and Stingox are the only people who have had the distinction of winning a race here at the RVC. And that's considering not just season four, but also season three, and I think season two as well. So we saw uh, moments for Kiki, um, but right now I'm looking at the standings. He's about 30 points behind in second place. So he's more defending his third place right now against Frostbitten. So that's something we'll have to keep our eyes on. Is Frostbitten versus Kiki? Defending the podium is Kiki, and attacking the podium is Frost. Frost starting out a bit of a ways ahead of Kiki here on Helios.
We have two duels to look at today.
Yeah, yeah.
Famous versus Stingox and Kiki versus Frost. And where is the oh right? Why is Frost? Frost is second in the starting grid as Kiki is 11th. Ah, yeah.
So it's kind of similar situations for the two of them.
Yeah.
The two attackers, Stingox and Frost, are the ones starting, and the defenders of their positions, Kiki and Famous, are down there downfield, eighth and 11th. So we got two interesting stories happening simultaneously. Of course, everyone loves to talk about first place, but podium is definitely no laughing matter as well in the RVC. This is the most hardcore endurance event you can find in all of Revolt. So walking away with a bronze is definitely nothing to scoff at. But we do have a few more minutes here. I think we've got about 5 minutes before we start. So we can hop over and show driver of the day here. for sure. I mean, like 15 racers versus 7 racers. I mean, which one would you rather have these triple wall rides against? The 7 for sure. So we're gonna have some of that. I think we're also gonna have people spinning out on the stairs, taking it too risky, and they spin out, and then boom, they're gonna be affecting other drivers too. And that's kind of the situation with a track like Helios, where it's maybe less dependable. When you've got these drivers who are less precise than the top field, they can sometimes be a lap down and accidentally affect these drivers by by spinning out. And so
especially
they're kind
with
of
especially
yeah,
with
yeah.
15 people. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So we might have some living human tumbleweeds on the track, so to speak. Those tumbleweeds on Ghost Town, always upsetting people just by being all over the. You never know where they're gonna
Just being
be. They're
here.
yeah, exactly. So we might have some human tumbleweed situations here on the track in Helios, especially with 15 people. And I don't know about you, but I'm a weaker driver personally, and I love driving aggressively. So if you go against somebody and you're in a lower fight, like let's say I'm fighting for 12th place and I'm really into it, and I get the jump on 12th, and I go super aggro and I wreck him in the process, well, that's going to be influencing the overall fight as well, not just for 11 or 12th, 13th place, but also it could affect those people in the front field. Because a lot of times weaker drivers, they like to go aggressive. And I wouldn't say in this lobby you could necessarily say that any of these drivers are weak. I'm pretty sure every single one of them would be able to beat me by a large margin. So it might not come into play too much, but it could. We'll certainly see. There is something about it's very impressive to see when these top drivers get together and they take a much more relaxed approach as far as passing. They're much more patient. It's kind of like the real lifestyle driving more so, where you don't want to pass somebody just by running them off the track. You want to pass them by the merit of having the better line and being the better driver. So that's always impressive to see when the top of the field is able to do that. And it also makes for a more exciting race for our viewers too. So we got the grid all mapped out. Pokers, I think you are going to have the distinct pleasure today of telling the racers to go when they're all lined up. Um, so basically, everyone's going to line up, and then Frostbitten will say like, "Okay, honk," or like, "Okay, ready," or something, and then you'll wait like a second or two, or if you say, and then say go.
All right.
So
And we
hopefully
hoping.
Cross is aware that this is happening. It does look like we're loading in here. Yeah, that would be cool, Kippy. Okay, so we're not going to see them immediately hop in. We're going to see them form a line based on their best lap time. Again, this is a full lobby. This is a full house. And so we're going to see a long line here and a lot of potential for people to get bumped straight away. Because keep in mind, we've got a very narrow doorway right away within the first 10 seconds of this track. And I can see some collisions are going to happen. So everybody's lining up. Okay, and we should be getting now you don't do it until okay. So yeah. Love the pause. Very good, very good, very good. and we're okay. Sting decided when to go. Cool. Okay, so everybody is finally gonna go, and we'll get to see from Boban's perspective. Well, it isn't actually. I mean, yeah, we'll see if anybody wrecked. And nothing too major. So let's hop to the front of the field just like you were doing. It was a good idea. And Sting versus Frost straight away. I don't know. I think Frost was like ready, right? Because you called the go and he wasn't going. So Frost was like, dude, the second that Sting goes on the gas, I'm so ready for this. Because you can see they are right on top of each other straight away. Now, Frost isn't going to try to overtake in those wall rides straight away, but he is driving very aggressively with Sting, and they're already a lap down. I can already tell this race is going to fly by. So we got G-Force in third, Powerade in fourth, Nick fifth, Famous sixth. So Famous has already moved up 2 positions. Kiki, in the meantime, is sitting in ninth. He's also moved up 2 positions. He's in eighth, so he's moved up 3. Famous moves back down to seventh. A wreck early on, and this is something we talked about in the pre-show, was the stairs versus the ramp. And this is going to continue to be a situation. So, another thing for our drivers who are just now joining our main 2 storylines. We've got Stingux versus Famous fighting for first. We've got Kiki trying to defend third against Frostbitten. So Kiki going for some very aggressive wall riding. Blocks off Ama entirely, but somehow doesn't manage to hold on to the lead against him. Hold on to that 7th place. Famous, in the meantime, trying to move up. I think Powerade wrecked on the entryway to ramp versus stairs. Famous going to pass him right on by, hoping to pass the Tequila Bars. And if he does, he'll already be in 5th place. So huge moves for Famous. Uh-oh. So in the meantime, Frost has passed Sting. And G4 is still, opportunistically waiting there in the background. He's about 15 meters back. He's preparing his strike. But he's kind of like, I might not even need to do anything here, because Frost and Sting, they're neck and neck. They're taking the half and half situation, it looks like, where they take a couple stairs and then slide onto that ramp and finish it out, instead of trying to turn while on the stairs and risk spinning. So they are taking identical lines. Sting has definitely been pretty much, in my opinion, this is completely in my opinion, he's been one of the most consistent drivers out there, especially in the latest weeks. He's been, in my opinion, the most consistent driver on the field. And so if he's right here neck and neck with first place, I think this is the exact position he wants to be in.
Yeah, the duel with Frost and Stingux is no longer an importance between them, but Stingux has to take up some points at any point if he wants to take up on fame.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, something to keep in mind. Stingux absolutely needs all the points that he can get here. But Famous is going to have to move up in some positions here for it to matter. Ooh, Frost losing some time. He is just going to he went for self-imposed blocks there on Sting, but loses his focus or something there and wrecks out after the wall rides. He's going to lose 2 positions real quick as a result of that. We still see Keela Bars is ahead of Famous. I think it might be, yeah, it's 4th, 5th there for Keela Bars Famous. G-Force is wrecked, so they're going to be trying to both pass him up. Keela Bars moves into a podium position, which is great for him. But Keela Bars, he is definitely going to have to fight hard to defend against titans like G-Force and Famous. In the meantime, Powerade, who is always, especially in 2023, this man has been a huge contender. I would say a dark horse for sure, but a contender nonetheless. And he's sitting here in 6th, challenging Famous and G-Force. Kiki in tow, right behind him in 7th place. Nick has had a horrible accident, and he's dropped to about 4 positions as a result. I was wondering where Keela Bars got that extra position into 4th place, and mystery solved. Now, with regards to our storylines, Frostbitten and Stingux are the 2 attackers of the overall score here, and they're the ones occupying 1st and 2nd. So that's okay. Whoa. Okay, now these positions have been getting changed quite a lot. I thought we saw Frostbitten fall behind G-Force, but now G-Force is in 4th place and Keela's in 3rd. So that's kind of an interesting situation, but still going with the storyline. Frost and Sting in that 1st and 2nd, and if the race finishes like this, Sting in 1st, Frost in 2nd, they both might be getting their wishes here on Helios. But again, we're only here on lap 8 of 64. That is 1/8 the way through. Thank you very much. But it's still just 1/8. We've got 7/8 left to go through this. So really just the beginning stages here. Ooh, Famous challenging hard here, and Kiki right behind him. These are definitely the two people I would expect to be rising in the ranks. They're going to be attacking onto the ramp. Famous goes on the inside. Kiki fails it.
And Killa lost third.
Indeed, indeed. So G-Force now going to be taking that third. And I thought we saw Famous on the inside there pass him up. But we just saw a whole lot of action there happen all at one time there on the ramp and the stairs. So understandable. The main point is Famous continues to rise in the ranks, trying to overtake G-Force on the inside. Can't quite find it. Maybe here. Oh my, G-Force way on the outside there. Famous just takes that third place. Like it's a little voucher. He's just like, yeah, sure. $10 off. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't even have to think about it. So moving up a little bit, we got Frost versus Stingox. Less than 10 meters between the two of them. It has been neck and neck. Famous and G-Force for third, fourth. Power 8, Kilobars, Kiki, Nick, all tightly grouped up. Laggy Rock is someone who we basically haven't mentioned at all. He did employ that unique style of not really going for the best lap, and it does always put him way down in the starting grid here at the RVEC, which means he's got a lot of work to do every single week, but he always manages to rise above it, it seems. And so, passing up one, Power 8 has had a string of bad breaks. He's going to fall down some more. Ama in 10th, Boban 11th, Airtsu 12th. Shigeki X 13th. He's beating out Makakowski. Makakowski here and Lampert struggling quite greatly, but Shigeki deserves a shout out here for 13th place. This is a huge moment for Shigeki. He's definitely newer on the endurance scene, and he is here beating two racers who are very much serious about the game and about endurance as well. So to be in the lead against Makakowski and Lampert, that's a huge deal. So while it may be cool to check out the backfield here and there, of course, the main source of excitement is going to be that battle for first, second, and it's Frostbitten and Sting. They're still duking it out. Stingox, he desperately needs, like we've said, all the points that he can get. Now let me check here. We've got Frost versus Kiki as well. Now if I look at those overall standings, which I just had up, it is 115 versus 103. So there is less gap between Kiki and Frost. Ooh, Famous with a wreck on the stairway section. And this is kind of a mirror of what happened the last time we were looking at Kiki and Famous. We saw Kiki spin out on that exact section, and then Kiki made all of that gap back up, and then Famous wrecks out on it. Kiki taking that turn a little bit too tight. Nick's gonna glide on into fifth. Kiki may be going for a little bit of an overtake. It looked like that for a second there on the first turn, but nothing doing there. And Laggy Rock continues to take a couple of positions. He's now in 7th place. Famous in 9th. And Pokers, this isn't lap 3. You know, this isn't lap 4. This is lap 14. And Famous is here in 9th, and he's wrecking on the stairwell. Where are we at? What are we thinking?
Famous is not very confident on this map, I think. Maybe in 10th now.
Yep.
And Kiki is 5. Maybe
yeah.
How many point differences between Kiki and Frost?
That's a good thing to know. You would not think that I just looked at it. Okay, so there are 12 points between the two.
12 points. So Frost being second.
That's more than. Well, let's see. Kiki in I think 5th, was that, or 4th?
5th.
5th place. That should be pretty close. And keep in mind, we've got one race after this. So if Frost finishes here and Kiki in 5th, I don't think Frost is necessarily going to pass Kiki into the podium spots, but he will be right there for our final track, Jailhouse Rock, next week. In the meantime, Yeah, we do see Stingox 30 meters ahead out in first, and also this battle for third, fourth, G-Force Kilabaris. And G-Force has kind of been all over the map here so far in this show. He's kind of been in every position, it feels like, except for the back positions. He's mostly been towards the front, but he's been in third, he's been in second, fourth, fifth, I think even. But right now, he just got passed up by Keela. Keela took it risky there, going for the stairwell, whereas G-Force opted for the ramp. And that kind of, that situation right there, that exchange right there, shows all what we've been talking about in the pre-show. Risk versus consistency. And some racers are able to find consistency in the stairwell section. Famous is not one of those people, at least so far on this track. He's looked and hey, I don't know how much is luck and how much is preparation as far as nailing that stairway section down. But if it's all preparation, Famous should have prepared a little bit better. Okay, I'm sorry, Famous, if you're watching that. I'm not trying to get in your head or anything. But we do have it. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to do that. But anyways, we got Sting versus Frost. First, second, still 30, 40 meters between them. And this has been a situation for about 4 or 5 laps here. So the interesting thing, not just with the RVEC, but kind of with all endurance events, but especially here where the stakes are super high like the RVEC, once things start to get stagnant for a bit, everything falls apart. And there is Kilabaris. I think he just fell down 2 positions. It was the stair ramp section once again. This is going to be the certified killer here on Helios. It may be an inanimate object, but it certainly has the power to kill, and it has done so, and it will continue to do so, especially as the nerves start to set in and the lap count continues to dwindle. We've got Kiki chilling here in 6th place. It's not a great position, but he's got 2 racers in his vision alone, and all it takes is one mistake. I wouldn't say minor mistake, but he could probably catch even another position past that. So Kiki, you got to look a little bit further in the future here, and this is definitely a position that Kiki's feeling all right with. As you can tell from the skin, he's got the no problem, the personalized skin on his Koyeka, and that should be his mindset as he continues on, because there are no problems here for Kiki. Of course, except for Frost, who is right now in 2nd place. If he could send some pickups his way, I'm sure he'd be happy with that. Of course, pickups off for all endurance races, or 95% of them. So he's just gonna have to hope that Frost wrecks, or that Kiki just starts driving insane. If he could close the, like, let's say Frost finishes in 2nd, Kiki finishes in 3rd, he'd be happy with that. It's a 4-point gap, and they'd be down to an 8-point differential, and that's not factoring in best lap times. So he would still be about 4 points ahead of Frost, which is decent. It's a decent enough gap, because Frost has not always been in these top 1, 2, 3 positions like he was in Season 3. Season 4 has been a little bit different. It's been a bit of a different storyline. It looked like everything was coming up Famous, but we got our huge challenger Sting. And speaking of Sting, let's put him on for a second. I will say it looks like Kiki is out in 5th, so we will definitely want to check back in on that. But for now, we've got Sting. He doesn't quite have a sub 42 yet, but keep in mind, they're not racing for best laps. They're racing for consistency. And it's a combination, don't get me wrong. If you're super consistent, then it comes down to who has the best line, right? But you got to get the consistency down first. And here on Helios, it's easier said than done. He's starting out here on lap 22. We'll see how he handles the shortcut. We've got a cut right here, boom, and then he takes 1 stair, 2 stair, 3 stairs all the way through, not going for any of that ramp, and continues on his way. All right, so we do have Sting, and we've got Frost, and there's about 70 meters between Frost and G-Force. But then Pokers, I think we got some battles on our hands, right? Unless something crazy happens.
Kiki kill on G-Force. Oh yeah, for the points.
That's right.
Yeah, for Frost and Kiki and Stingers and Fam. What? By the way, where is Fam?
That's
nice.
And not just 9th, Pokers. Not
now,
just 9th.
We are over 100 meters away from Lucky Rock.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. So that is going to continue to be a situation. Let me check on chat. How are y'all doing, chatters? Sorry we got no betting today. Was a little bit distracted, all things considered. Yeah, y'all are tuned in. Okay, okay. So, Nick, he was out there in fourth earlier on. Now he's in sixth. Kiki's out there in fifth, challenging Keela Bars. Keela Bars has been holding on. It hasn't been quite as a statement as I'm sure Keela Bars would have hoped for. But here on lap 24, he's certainly holding his own. Certainly something to be proud of. But Keela Bars is always the one where I feel like he wants to raise the bar for himself constantly. So I feel like this isn't necessarily. I don't think he would necessarily be fully content with the way the race has gone so far. He probably would want to be in a nice third right now, but he's got to be happy with where he's at. And did we see some? Yeah, we've got G-Force, Keela, Kiki, for sure. And I don't want to go away from this because this is super heated. But we might have seen Sting lose just at like 10 meters or something. Nope, we're still at a comfortable 40 or so. Let's try to catch the fourth, fifth for just a second here. Yeah, so Kiki, we had a wreck out of Kiki in the meantime. Must have been at that stairway section. We've seen Kiki and Famous both risking it, taking all the stairs, no ramp. He was canceled. We can't say that anymore, but anyways, Kiki has wrecked out. He's out there in fifth place. He's going to be hoping for some more, obviously, and it can come to him quite easily, all things considered. That stairway and the ramp, we've been talking about the whole session long, how it's such a killer. And 40 meters, that's totally something that you can lose in one section, just like that. So Kiki, he's still chilling. And in fact, I think he moved up a position since we last talked about how he was chilling. And so I think he was in sixth last time when we said he was chilling.
True.
Exactly. So he has moved up one. We got Nick in sixth, Powerade in seventh. Powerade is someone who we've kind of been touching on here and there. And there's a wreck out of him on the wall ride section of all areas. I know he's not going to be happy about that one. Someone who is going to be happy, on the other hand, is Laggy Rock. Although I don't think he's going to be too happy because he did bump into Powerade there at the end. So I think Laggy Rock is kind of thinking F you Powerade in his head. F you is kind of his insult of choice. Shout out to Laggy Rock. Ooh, and on the stage he's thinking F you stairs. So yeah, just a whole lot of F U's getting thrown out in Laggy Rock's world right now, I think. But in the meantime, Famous, he has closed the gap 100 meters onto 8th place, but what happens when he passes 8, Pokers? Tell me, what happens?
Absolutely nothing.
Oh no!
What does what? This is
He's
water
trying to
wide.
get the star.
Yeah, Famous really needs to complete some position to gain up some positions, because the duel Famous versus Sting. Sting is first
by 50, 60 meters.
Yeah.
Is continuing to break away from Frost. Oh man. So this is a dangerous spot for Famous. We talked about it in the pre-show. We were like, oh, Famous is gonna be starting at what? He was starting at like 9th place. We're like,
eight,
oh,
9,
8th
yeah.
place. Yeah. We're like, oh, no worries. Famous, he can move up, and he did, right? He was moving up.
Yeah, he was third
out of nowhere.
He was third at the moment. Yeah.
But by the end of it, at least by lap 29 here, and we are almost at the halfway point already. Not quite. Lap 32, really lap 33, I guess, is technically the halfway point. So we're not quite there, but we're pretty close. I mean, these laps are less than a minute long, so. Oh, Frost out of it. And this is the same spot that we saw Powerade wreck on. And when we saw Powerade wreck there, we thought, how? How did he wreck there? And then Frost does the exact same thing, and hey, maybe it just has to do with the line. Some kind of miscalculation going on somewhere down the line there. as G-Force sits in third, Kilobars is in fourth, Nick in fifth. Nick, never one to give up. He might get in his head here or there, but he always rises above, and he's going to be hunting down a number of positions. I think he's got fourth and maybe even third in his view here that he is hoping to hunt down. And we've got Kiki as well in the exact same situation, except just 10 meters behind Nick. And 10 meters is nothing. Powerade, unfortunately, I think due to that wreck that was right around here when we saw it, I think he has continued to drop down in the meters just a bit. But Boban has entered the mix. Now keep in mind he is being lapped right now. But that's what I was worried about, especially through some of these very narrow corridors. And you start getting your head, you know, you see a racer who's trying to lap you, who's behind you, and you can't get out of the way, and then maybe you run into a wall, and then they run into you, and it's just this really embarrassing thing. So I don't blame Boban for, you know, getting into his head a little bit there and wrecking, but regardless, it definitely influenced Kiki, and we see Kiki is going to have a little bit more work to do than he previously had if he wants to catch fifth, fourth, even third. So as we move back a little bit, Powerade, Laggy Rock, Ama, Famous, where is he? Famous is now 12th. He's been passed up by Ama. He's been passed up by Ertzu. He's been passed up by Lampert. And this is starting to run away. This is really starting to run away. Now, in the meantime, we will say Shigeki X unfortunately did eventually get passed up by Makakoski and Lampert, despite that great early start by Shigeki. But still, in there, could potentially catch down Makakoski. Might need a wreck, but all good. And we got Boban behind him as well. Now, let's flip back up. We got Sting, 78, 80 meters. Frostbitten does not have a huge gap on G-Force. So, despite the Famous and Stingox situation looking like it's beginning to look like a travesty on the track here at Helios, not quite the scenario for that third, fourth position. Frost and Kiki. Kiki is in third. Frost is in fourth. There's 12 points separating them right now in the overall standings. And so Frost is going to be taking home 20 points if he can lock down second place. And that's a huge if, because he is barely in the red against G-Force. If you look down there at the bottom left, once it gets down below 50, it starts turning orange a little bit. And it depends, you know, if you look at that or not. I'm one who does look at that. So it does start to feel like a little exciting once that number starts to turn orange a little bit. And we saw that for G-Force just for a second. And guess what? G-Force is only in the yellow against Kilobars. He's only 30 meters out of Kilobars. So this second place, very far from being set in stone for Frost. And we've also got Kilobars, fourth place. Already mentioned that, right? But we've also got Nick. Now Nick is a little bit further ways back, but boom, a wreck in the diagonal doorway entrance section there. He's just gonna wreck out, and that's such a common area to see a wreck. But the difference is you normally see an oil there in the doorway, and that's why you wreck. So a little bit of a different scenario there, but I think Nick just trying to take that turn too aggressively, and he does fall out into sixth place. So Kiki, and this can't be emphasized enough. Even if Frost drives out of his mind, he finishes in second place. Maybe he catches Sting, but let's say he gets second place. If Kiki manages to find third place, there's not going to be a whole lot for Frost to gain out of this. So it's kind of imperative, not just that Frost does well, but also that Kiki doesn't also do just as well. Because from this position, it's feasible that Kiki could still beat Frost. Now, Famous versus Sting, that might be a different story. What do you think, Focus? Can Famous catch Sting from this position? Let's check back in on Famous. There he is, 12th place, 80 meters back to Ertzu.
He's gonna have a lot work to do for Famous to catch up on the front position, but you never know.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Especially on this map, we see some
Ex-
choke points.
Yeah,
It's
and I think Famous has been a perfect example of that. I mean, there's just the stairway has just not been doing him any favors, but ooh, nerves just setting in here. Let's flip back towards the front, see how Sting, Frost, and maybe third place G-Force is doing. I think that we still got, yeah, still got G-Force there in third place. Nothing too major. Well, hold on. Can we go back to Frost? Well, this is certainly a little bit different. Last time we looked at Frost versus Sting, Sting was about, what, 80 meters ahead, maybe more? Right now we look at him, he's only 40.
Yeah, Steam must have wrecked somewhere, and Frost is very happy about that.
Yeah, and, you know, Frost hasn't, when we talked about the most consistent drivers, Frost wasn't someone I mentioned until the end. He was kind of an afterthought for me here in season 4. He just hasn't bringing the consistency that I hope that he would. But here in Helios, where a lot of people are failing to bring that consistency, he seems to be replicating it on most laps. The only place I've really seen him wreck is the random wall ride. Just like a random out of nowhere wall ride, and he takes that section super careful. One of the only racers we see going for almost a full ramp on the ramp versus stairs. How about this? How about we check out some best laps as well?
Yeah, I was about to. 41.8 for Stingox, 42.1 for Frost, 42.2 for G-Force, 41.8 for Killa,
Wow.
41.9 for Kiki, 42 for Nick, 42 for Power8, for Laggy Rock, for Hama, for Urzu. Why is Frost? Fame. 41.87. So there's also a battle for best laps.
Yes, I think we've got 3 41.8 XXs.
Yeah.
Maybe 4. We've got Keela, Famous, Sting, and we might even have a 4th, but
Frost,
maybe
I
not.
think. No.
Okay. We do have, okay. Interesting. So we see Keela in 4th with a great best lap. But will he have the consistency to find it, to find more? In the meantime, Kiki in 5th. Dude, was he in 5th last time we looked at him? I think he was. I think he's been hunting down 4th and 3rd for a while now at this point. When we were last looking at him, we just saw Nick fail the doorway turn. And in the meantime, he's been trying to hunt down Keela Barras, but Keela Barras with a 41.8 XX and Kiki with a wreck on the jump. Disaster striking for Kiki, and we're starting to ask, how many positions is Kiki going to be able to find here by the end? He's pretty safe in 6th place. I'd say he's probably not going to fall below 6th place. The 6th place certainly is not enough for Kiki to feel comfortable here going into the final track, Jailhouse Rock, next week. He's currently sitting in 3rd place. He's up against Frostbitten, and I can tell you all the exact points. It is 115 for Kiki and 103 for Frost. Kiki finds the pass on Nick after a drop down, but now he's got 100 meters left to catch Keela with, and he's not out of Nick's hair yet. I mean, we talked about in the pre-show, we talked actually quite a lot about these wall rides right here, and about how people might take advantage of the wall ride to bump themselves in front of other people and force them to slow down by just wedging yourself in front of the car. We don't see Nick go for it here, but it's certainly something that could happen, especially with one of our more aggressive drivers. So Kiki's certainly got his work cut out for him, as he's going to be trying to catch down Frost, who I guess we can check back in on. He's currently sitting in 2nd place. Okay, nothing too major happening. Let's check in on G-Force versus Keela. Okay, so Keela has done a great job at continuing to close this gap against G-Force. He's got 100 meters ahead of Kiki. So let's catch the stairs versus ramp here for G-Force and Keela, and then we'll flip it. Okay, so G-Force nails it. Helios takes the stairs. That's why he's got such a fast best lap, and he's nailing that too. You can see he just takes a diagonal line. He doesn't try to turn it. He just takes a diagonal line and rams straight into the corner, into the guardrail there, to steady himself before the jump. Kiki, in the meantime, I think he's wrecked. I think he's wrecked because he's now 130 meters back. It's possible that he implicated Nick in the wreck, and that's why Nick didn't pass him up. One of the kind of nice parts of being in someone's hair like this, and then right when I say it, we get to see one of the not so nice parts of being in someone's hair, where Nick just completely floors it, and Kiki spins out there on the triple wall ride, which is normally a pretty safe part of the track, and he's right back in to contention with Powerade. Oh man! So we talked about a little while ago how Kiki was going to be feeling comfortable with at least 6th place. Well, we might have jumped the gun a little bit because 7th and 8th is quite close, very close in fact. One wreck and they could both pass up Kiki here. In the meantime, where is Famous? Famous watch is back on Air 2. Famous in 11th, he's passed up 1. He's passed up Lampert, the only person he's been able to find. There's 20 laps left. Time is running out for Famous. I think we do need an exclamation mark curse command. Tova, thank you very much for that suggestion. I like that a lot. Kippy suggesting Fam is letting his neighbor drive. Oh no, and a wreck out of Kiki. Ooh, okay. Kiki's making me eat my words right here. I was just talking about how comfortable he looked in that 6th place, and now boom, he's in 7th. Laggy Rock's only 20 meters back. Okay, so we could see both of our defenders here, the wheels just falling off. It's certainly already happened for Famous at this point. Kiki is still within range of being able to recover this. Boban is blocking Laggy Rock, helping out Kiki by accident, even though he's a lap down here. Kiki continuing to hunt. He's got Powerade. He's also got Nick, 2 people that he's constantly been in contention with throughout Helios here. Powerade only 25 back behind Nick. 124 is the gap for Keela. I think Keela must have wrecked a little bit, or maybe Nick has kept it solid. Yeah, see, Keela is now 60 meters back behind G-Force. G-Force has just been hanging in there. And I'm curious where G-Force is in these standings. I'm going to look at it right now. We got G-Force in 5th place with 90 points. He's 13 points behind Frost. So I guess Frost really needed this dub. Or at least by dub, I mean, 2nd place. I'm sure he'll take 2nd place as a dub. It's not, 1st place isn't out of his grasp yet, but he really needed this to be able to defend against G-Force. We've been talking a lot about Kiki versus Frost. It looks like we overlooked Frost versus G-Force was another thing that was happening at the same time. In the meantime, though, it's not going to be a huge deal, and that's because they're neck and neck, so G-Force needs to get 10 points on Frost. Instead, he's going to be losing, I think, 4 points against Frost by the end of this, unless we factor in that he's got a best lap or something. So G-Force versus Frost, battle we didn't talk too much about, but it does seem to be fizzling nonetheless. Okay, and Kiki, we see Kiki taking a risky route, the same that Famous has been taking, and he's been making it work to much greater effect, especially there where he seems to be taking it very, very aggressively. He does not spin out though, and he's continuing to hunt down Powerade, and I think he has to drive this aggressively at this point. He must be feeling like, you know what, I can't beat out Laggy Rock, but I gotta get as many spots as I can possibly get here, and hope that I just don't wreck for a while. Okay, Famous in 11th still. Not much to say here. I don't want to keep rubbing in in anyone's face, really, especially, I don't know if he's tuned in or not, but regardless, this is a rough spot for Famous all the same. But a little bit further backfield, for just a second here, we do have Boban versus Shigeki X. Boban has closed the gap against Shigeki. We did notice that for a second. We'll continue to check in on how that's doing. Meanwhile, further upfield, G-Force a full 175 meters back behind Sting. If you look at first versus third, and Frostbitten wedged in there, about equidistant between the two of them, 70 meters behind Sting, 100 meters ahead of G-Force. We're here on lap 51 of 64. The action's closing out. And if you're voting for driver of the day, I'm sure people are going to be hard pressed not to give it to Sting Ox, because the man has not made a single error the entire time. It feels like he's just completely tore the track up. He's been like 50 to 80 meters ahead of second place the entire time. Of course, though, we're gonna have to see how it closes out by the end of it, because this whole thing could take a swan dive within these next 12 or 13 laps. Okay, G-Force versus Kila Bars is another battle that we got once again, and I'm curious about where Kila is in the points as well. So Kila Bars is currently 7th in points. He needs 14 points to be able to catch Nick, and he is defending against Power and Ertzu, as well as Ama, by less than 10 points each. So this is a monumentous occasion for Kila Bars, able to bring home a ton of points. Won't necessarily be challenging Nick as much as he wanted to, because Nick is right there one position behind him, but he does have best lap points potentially. I mean, 41.823. Oh, and he is going to wreck onto the stairwell. I know he really wants to grab third place, because that would give him an extra like 3 points there against Nick. So a wreck like down the stairwell, certainly something that Kilo was trying to avoid. But I will say it doesn't look like he fell back that much behind G-Force. I don't know if G-Force is also unstable around that area or what, but it looks like G-Force was also struggling. Of course, he is going to lose some through this portion, because you got to slow down a little bit for that portion. Or rather, it's just not really, you know what I mean. But at 50 meters, he's still got left to do by the time that the lap straightens back out.
Right.
And we see that, okay.
Just a checkup of the best laps.
Yes,
Very quick, because we have Stingox with 41.79.
That's crazy. Our first sub 41.8 XX for sure.
Frostbitten with 42.0. G-Force 42.1. Killer with 41.8. 42.0 for Nick. 41.8 for Kiki. 42.2 for Power 8. 42.4 for the Gear Rock. Ama with 42.1, she's just wreck. 42.2 for Erzu. Lampert with 42.1. 41.75 for Famous.
So Famous has decided, you know what, this track is 100% not going to get counted. He didn't show up to Urban Sprint 1. He's having a bad track here today. I don't know if there's any other standout throwaway track for him, but this is definitely going to be a throwaway track. And so I think his goal here is to steal as many points as he can. So the best way he can think of to do that, how do I steal points from Sting? You steal the best lap. You make it so that he can't get 3 points, and you hope someone else takes the second one. Of course, that's not the case here. Sting is our only sub 41.8, as Famous unfortunately does wreck out, getting a little bit too close to lap traffic there. But let's go ahead and flip back towards our action, because as we've been seeing all day here today, everything can go south in an instant. Kiki, once again, challenging Nick. Frostbitten has fallen about 20 meters back behind Sting, but he is continuing his advantage against G-Force. I think he's even opening that advantage up a bit more. We might see G-Force quite close to Kila, unless Kila wrecked. Beautiful execution by Frost on the stairwell section. Okay, so it is still about 40-50 meters between Kila and G.
The ramp is not safe as you think. Huh?
Yeah, I think you're right on that one. And the interesting part is Kila Bars is one of our racers who we saw kind of sending it on the stairwell section. But it looks like he might have gotten a little bit scared after one misfire. And he is getting shown exactly what you just said, that ramp might not be as safe as you think. Um, Nick and Kiki, 5th, 6th, still. Power 8 nearby. Kiki did pass back up Power 8.
And Kiki is doing a great recovery work there.
Indeed, indeed. And a lot of it, he's got a lot of it to do.
Yeah.
So even now, he's definitely going to be hoping that he can pass Nick by the end of this race. I don't know if he has any further aspirations past that. Like if he passes Nick, is he? Let's see how far Nick is from I think Kilobaris, 100 meters. So I don't know. We're running out of time here. We got about 6 laps left. This is your first time doing English co-commentary pokers.
Yeah.
How's it been?
Oh, pretty well. You did all the
great
job
to have
as
you so
always.
far. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's been great to have you so far. But the excitement building for both of us as this lap count continues to dwindle. Kiki trying to take the stairwell, and it is indeed a stairway to hell.
Yeah.
As he once again flips over. We've seen that stairwell claim so many lives. Quite the murderous stairwell.
This section is just not safe at all. We see Kira just wrecking, doing the Spider-Man thing, and the stair is just bumpy as
Yeah.
for the toy cars.
Yeah, both ways. Yeah, exactly. I think Keela did kind of go for more of a half and half, so I'm curious if we have any more racers still going for like the full ramp, because that seems to be the safe, like a more of a foolproof option is if you enter that ramp right when it starts. But we do see Kiki definitely not going to be one of those people. He is one of the full senders, and he looks like he's going to do it full through and through, but maybe full sending a little bit too hard as he gets passed up by Power 8, and this is disastrous for Kiki. A lot of hard work gone, and also he was neck and neck with Nick. We thought 5th place was, so.
He got wrecked twice in a row, I think, on the stairway.
Yeah, I think that had to have been it. In the meantime, let's flip forward a little bit, see if anybody else has been choking. Frost versus Sting, pretty much the same situation. Maybe Sting had a minor wreck somewhere, but nothing more than 20 meters to speak of. G-Force continuing to fall back down in 3rd, but it looks like he's making errors with the same frequency that Kilobaris is, and so they're still remaining about 50 meters apart from each other, because it seems like they just wrecked the same amount, give or take. We got Nick in 5th, and we had Power 8 and then Kiki. Okay, so it looks like, and now keep in mind, if you're one of those people who joined as the race is coming to a close here, we've got about 2-3 laps left to go for these racers. Our 2 main storylines were Kiki attacking Frostbitten for 3rd place, and Stingox attacking Famous for 1st place. And we see the attackers, Frost and Sting, have had a huge leg up here on Helios. They're both dominating, whereas Kiki and Famous have not been able to find their footing. Famous more so than Kiki. Kiki still has potential. We see that orange name. There's Nick. He passes up Nick. There's 1. Can he get a 2-for-1 deal with Power 8 included? We'll have to see. They're here, lap 63. We've got 2 laps left exactly for the 3 of them. This trio is definitely going to have to be someone we keep our eyes on, because there's a whole bundle of points here. This is, unlike the RVRL, which started using the IO points, here at the RVEC, we're still using MotoGP point scoring system. So with each gap, especially front field, but also midfield, they're worth a lot. So Kiki definitely going to be hoping that he can find a leg up on Power 8 as well. And he is on the inside, and it does look like a clean pass, basically out of nowhere, but the wall ride, Power 8 finds an overtake, and Nick slams it home. Kiki back in 7th place in the blink of an eye, starting lap 64, their final lap. Now let's check just a second on 1st place. How are they doing? It is still everything coming up. Sting, Frost, a clear 2nd place. Let's go back a little bit. G-Force 80 meters. Let's keep going back. Back to that trio. Okay, it's looking like everything is pretty clear there. This is our one uncertainty. We've got Power 8, Nick, Kiki, 5th, 6th, 7th. They didn't fail the stairway versus ramp. They're all neck and neck here. still, but this is the most intense part to be neck and neck at, the wall ride. What will they do? Nick, far on the inside, sending power rate soaring. He gets 180. Kiki passes him as well. Kiki not going to be able to find Nick. He does pass up power rate for a couple of points, and that's going to be our race. Now Nick does apologize to power rate when the race ends, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Crazy to see it there at the last lap. Famous in 12th, not gonna be able to pass up Lampert, and this could be heartbreak for Famous. Now we are gonna have to keep in mind the whole. Oh, Makakowski Shigeki is challenging Makakowski here. Bobon's nearby too. We got a final lap scenario here for backfield. Makakowski, who has been a regular here at the RVEC, is getting challenged by Shigeki X, who has only been at a couple of these. We were wondering, will Shigeki be able to perform? And Makakowski veers off. Bobon gonna pass him up as well. Oh no! Makakowski, egg on his face in his hands. Quite the unfortunate situation for Makakowski here on the final lap. All right, now we'll finish out our race. Okay. So, GG's on Helios. That is going to conclude us for Helios. Now we do have the chart, right? So we might be able to, Pokers, if you understand it better than me, you might be able to dissect that or analyze that chart and tell me exactly what this means for Stingox versus Famous.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll put in on screen first.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, Fam being 12 is basically basically Sting has hold his chances for being the champion here, because Sting was first, right? Yeah.
Sting was first, yeah.
Sting was first with well, best lap doesn't matter here. So yeah, Sting has the opportunity to be first at the leaderboard here.
Okay, so yeah, and I think we should have the racers probably joining in the chat now. So feel free to tell us that we're stupid if something has gone wrong here. But that should be um, that definitely sets up Stingox for a great final week. I don't necessarily know if it's a shoe in for Stingox, but that was an incredible performance for Stingox. He takes the first. Also, we saw Frostbitten taking second. Frostbitten has been quiet previously, so to see him turn up in such a huge way, he's likely going to be able to find a podium. We have Kiki, who joined the chat, talking that he had a cramp on lap 10. Well, Kiki, we could not tell, my man, because you were really putting it all out there. It looked like the stairs were just screwing you over, if I'm being honest. But you took endurance to a next level by racing with the cramp like that. Welcome in Urak, Duck, the gamer. Always good to see y'all, bruh 2x2. And yeah, of course, Kippy saying nice one, Shigeki. And it was indeed very well driven by Shigeki X, who was able to find two positions there at the end. And so this is what we're looking at right now is the standings before the results have been added to them. And we saw there was. So yeah, I honestly I would try to do analysis here, but I think we're gonna just have to wait and see on Jailhouse Rock, right? Am I
Yeah,
crazy?
yeah,
Okay.
totally. The final track will be decisive for all the
Okay.
podium.
This will be for all the marbles here next week. I'm sure if Pokers, if you're available, I'm sure we'll get you for picture in picture. It
I
was also
hope. I hope.
yeah. But also, I like to say it was so good to have you on the microphone. I know I tend to talk like a lot, but it was great when you were able to
Was
squeeze in there.
perfect. Don't worry.
Well, would love to have you again in the future, and love to have you on the picture in picture and behind the scenes. Y'all don't know, but Pokers puts in a lot of work behind the scenes for these streams to happen. So huge shout out to you. Huge shout out to the viewers, to the chatters for enjoying this hardcore endurance action. We'll be back next week with the finale, Jailhouse Rock, a very fitting final track, not just thematically, but also race line wise. They're going to finally be breaking out of the jail that has been endurance. I want to know exactly how much Stingox practiced on Helios for one, because that was absolutely crazy the amount of consistency that he was able to find over a lot of these other drivers. But also a huge shout out to Frostbitten, who was also able to find a lot of consistency. It looked like he went on the outside ramp there. Not really sure. We'll have to get the VOD. Speaking of the VOD, we'll have that uploaded for y'all right after this stream ends. I'll export it to YouTube as well. Cheers, G-Force. You were killing it as well on the track. Yes, yes, yes. Of course. Enjoy, enjoy. So I guess that concludes it for us. And again, Pokers was streaming today because I'm out of town on a laptop on a MacBook that doesn't have OBS or Revolt. So if you enjoyed this stream, please thank Pokers for making it happen. And that is going to be it for us today. Keep in mind, we've got the RVRL. As always, I'll just list these off really quick before we close out the stream. Division 3, Wednesday, 18 UTC. Division 2, Friday, 19 UTC. Division 1, Saturday, 19 UTC. It will be, I think, week 9 of the Revolt Racing League.
Yes.
We have, it is the
Tournament session.
tournament
Yeah.
session, indeed, which we can get y'all some more detail. It's going to be like Addion and Zipper are the cards that you can use for that. So if you're a fan of the classic Battle of the Brothers, Addion versus Zipper, chocolate versus vanilla, that sort of deal. You're definitely going to want to tune into that. And then we've got the final week of the RVEC. It's been 10 weeks coming, I guess 9, but it'll be 10th on Sunday. And also, Duck, are you still here? Are you still here? Because I need to know if I can talk about the thing on Thursday. Is there, do you have anything you want to say about, is this like a thing I'm not supposed to say? Like there's okay, so I can't talk about it. They're on Thursday. I think we're going to have like a. Do you want to explain it in the chat, Duck? I'm going to our chat right now. I don't want to say like it is a watch party watching back last year's final RVC, the 2022 RVC finale. So be there for that on Thursday. It'll be Wednesday RVRL, Thursday RVC watch party of the 2022 finale, Friday, Saturday RVRL, Sunday RVC. And thanks for staying with me through all that pokers. I know that was a long outro, but I think we're done with everything. Unless you got something else that you want to say, I think we're
Not
done.
really. I'm just excited for the upcoming week of
All
both
right.
RVL and RVC.
That's right. All right. Well, cheers, man. Thank you again. Thank you, chat, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Cheers.